What you're about to experience are my opinions and truths. I'm suggesting they're possibilities for you to consider, in which you can then come up with your own logical conclusions. Welcome out, everyone, all of you great decoders around the world, wherever you may be, both male and female. My name is Logan, and this, of course, is Decode Your Reality, and today we're going to be breaking down and decoding the Serpent. Serpent Decoded. And ladies and gentlemen, I have a jam-packed, gem-filled presentation for you. So as I typically say, get settled in, get strapped in, throw on a pair of headphones. This one is going to be another gem, I promise you. What is the serpent? Of course, it's heavily tied to theology, Christianity, Judaism. What does it mean for theology and the serpent? What does it mean for the serpent and real life and our reality and the makeup of our reality? These are all the questions that we're going to answer during this decode. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Here's some of the parts of the intro. So I just, when you look at the snake, another, terminology for the word serpent, it's the number 16. And I just find it really interesting how these two other big nouns on the world stage equal the number 16. Now, I'm becoming someone, as a decoder, I'm becoming a person who doesn't really just rely on numerology anymore, because I'm really trying to fine-tune this. And even though Snake is 16 and Sirius is 16, is Sirius, which is the brightest star in the sky, is it the snake? And then you have this, this big word in theology called Lord, the Lord God. And Lord and now we have the Lord in theology being the snake and tied to it in this pre-scripted reality. And then light being 16. So all these words, just a few, and I'm sure a lot of you great decoders have found many other ones. But these are big ones. But as you'll start to see, you must go beyond numerology. And I'm just using Chaldean. A lot of people use multiple ciphers, and that waters it down even more. So we must use other separate layers to decode from. That's what we're going to do today for this presentation. And, here are some of the layers that I use. So we bring in the tarot, because, we think in pictures. So the 16th card in the major arcana is the Tower card. And then we bring in, and I'm going to come back to that, we bring in alchemy, how important alchemy is. Woo! It's a bridge. It teaches us so much about how our reality works. And the 16th element on the periodic table is sulfur. You see that letter S right there? What does a snake make? The S. So it's a direct match right there. And then the 16 is going to be also tied to this element called oxygen, which is part of the air that we breathe. It's part of the air that we breathe, oxygen is. And that number 8 is tied to the sun, because 19 is the 8th prime number, and we get into some more mathematics. But what about this tarot card right here, the Tower? Is this just the representation of spirit becoming matter? These people coming out of the tower? And is this really just Eden? Because one of the topics I have is Eden, the Garden of Eden. And is this just spirit becoming flesh? Is that what this is kind of really telling us? I think so, but we're going to keep going. We're going to show a little bit more. So I decided to look at another angle as well, trying to really go as deep as we possibly can. We know that the word light is 16, the word snake is 16, the word atom, which is what light is made up of, is 16. And Adam being the first man in theology. Christianity, that is, and Judaism. But here is the 16th day of the year. The only one of its kind, because, if you're not born in January or February, you're going to have a day that will have a common and a leap year. So January 16th is also 16.1, which is the golden ratio, which is why I have the symbol here. And the golden ratio is tied to light. Golden. Gold. The sun is gold. Here's the card that represents January 16th. It's the Jack-in-the-Box card. If you've been paying attention, here are the cards of illumination, 52 cards, 52 weeks, 4 suits, 4 seasons. It's the Jack-in-the-Box card. How very fitting that the word light is 16. January 16th has the Jack of Diamonds card tied to it. The Jack in the Box. Jack stuck in the box. If you're in the United States, you ever been to Jack in the Box, the fast food restaurant? That's kind of the cosmic joke. Jack stuck in the box. And if you're a female, you're going to be Jill. Starts with the letter J as well. But there it is. And it's, in astrology, if you're a fan of astrology, I hope you are, in both the tropical and the Vedic, it's Capricorn, straight up. And that's ruled by Saturn. So is Saturn just the ruler of light? It's Father Time, Kronos. Saturn, Satan. You're kind of getting the picture. I think that light is the devil, which is the serpent and the snake. But we're gonna see as we keep going through this presentation. What about this Jack of Diamonds tied to January 16th, tied to light, tied to snake in the tarot? The tarot came after the cards of illumination, so here is the Jack of Diamonds brought into the tarot. It's the Knight of Pentacles. It's card number 76. Now I'm using this spread right here, which is using the Fool as 0 and 22. One of the most popular spreads. There's the Fool used twice. So this Jack, or this Knight of Pentacles, is going to be card 76. And we bring it right back into alchemy again. And now we're tying it to this element called osmium, otherwise known as the Wizard of Oz. The Wizard of Oz. Now this element, as many elements have, they have a lot of atomic masses, so these weights can fluctuate. So you got to know what you're looking for. But this 187 is massively important. Why is that massively important? Because I did a decode on the periodic table tied into astrology. This was called Enter the Dragon Decoded. Many of you have seen it. Thank you for the support. If you haven't seen this one, check it out. What is the dragon? It's the light wave. It's the sine and cosine wave. It's the electromagnetic wave tied to our DNA, which is the serpent. Light DNA. It's spirit coming down and becoming matter. And what I did was I took the 13 elements and I tied them to each zodiac sign. 13 being in the middle. Illumination, aluminium. So whatever zodiac sign you are, you're going to be tied to these elements or this element. For your specific zodiac sign. But when you take all of these elements and you add them up, including the number 13 in the middle, you're going to get 187. You see? And then you have the 226 on the back end, and 226 is going to be tied to radium, Ra, the sun god Ra. Light slowed down into physical matter. I'm going to be showing Ra during this presentation. It's the Wizard of Oz, folks. It's spirit deciding to come down and say, hey, I want to play that game called life. And it does so through the celestial bodies and the zodiac signs and the sun and the moon and everything outside the earthly realm. And the periodic table were made up of these elements, the Elohim. It's all tied together. It's all tied together, and we can't forget this Al being the 13. 13 is tied to death, and it's tied to creation through magic, but it's tied to light, folks. That's what it's tied to. So that was the intro. Let me get this minimized here. That was the intro. And now we're going to get started. Now we're going to get into the main topics of this presentation. I hope you're ready, folks. This one's going to be very mind-blowing to some of you. Very eye-opening. It's going to connect a lot of dots. What does this stuff mean? So, the number one topic, the title of this decode, Serpent. Number two, we're going to talk about Eden. We have to. Because the serpent wouldn't be here without Eden in big ways. I mean, it would be here, but you know what I'm saying. And then the last topic is going to be on the word light, which is the serpent. It's called light. And then, of course, I'm going to ask you what you saw. So let's get into this now. Let's get into the first topic now, called Serpent, the actual title of this decode. And I had released this on my social media not too long ago. Thanks, everybody, for your comments. This was the slide that I attached, the only slide, breaking down the snake and the serpent. And you'll notice, like snake is 16, just like the word light. That's because light moves in this pattern. Here it is right here, through physics now, and mathematics. It's the sine and cosine wave. And our DNA's in here. So you have a wave going up and down, and then you have a wave going side to side, which is what a snake does. In the shape of a snake. And then you have the butterfly in here. You also have, if you just follow my cursor, you have the 88. You see? You have the 88 here. And if you say, well, it's just one, well, it's okay, fine, it's the 8. 19 is the 8th prime number, 19 is tied to the sun card. And then you have our DNA in here, the double helix is in here. And this is the prison planet, because this is a representation of the sine and cosine wave, which is pi, and it's also magnetism and electricity, which is what runs this reality. And if you go type in magnetic and electric in the Chaldean numerology cipher, it's going to give you 52, which is the same as prison planet. So make no mistake about it, this is our prison. It's called your DNA. And it's from light. And it's the snake. You are the devil. That's why I say you're the devil. Be the best little devil you can be. You can't help it. This is the sin wave, the sine wave. We're born into sin. So these, are tied to some heavy hitters. Obviously, 16 is a match to the word architect, which is a match to the word Lucifer. So here's your tie-in for Lucifer being the devil and the snake and the serpent and all that kind of stuff. But is the serpent trying to tell you how to get out of this game? Because there are a lot of, texts out there. There's a lot of stories about Lucifer really trying to free you. And I'm saying that's a possibility. We can't leave it out because it is a possibility. Right, in this predestined script, right here. Starting off with a bang with this snake and 16 and light and all that kind of stuff. So really the center point is when we bring it into alchemy. And now we have that S, there it is. The only element that's with the letter S, as its abbreviation, it's sulfur. And this is a very essential element. If you start to study it, in the machinations of how we are as human beings, sulfur is a very essential element. It's required in the soil and et cetera, et cetera. And, you can't miss this now, ladies and gentlemen. Using the same cipher now. You see? Creating that foundation, not deviating away. You can see what's connected to it. So, what is an architect? Light. What is light? It's the serpent. It's the S wave, the sine and cosine wave. And it's found from light, and this is the golden ratio, and the golden ratio is 1.61. And you get the 6th one in there, which is Prometheus, because Lucifer is Prometheus. Prometheus is Lucifer. Make no mistake about it. Prometheus is Lucifer. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Confirmation. Confirmation. If we take the first 16 letters from the golden ratio and we add them all up, look at what we get. Told you we'd be showing the raw. So the golden ratio, here it is, 16 digits, including the 1 point, 88. Bam! And we have now the introduction of the sun god Ra. And now we have ancient Egypt, which predates Christianity and Judaism. Predates it. See, Christianity is just a regurgitation of ancient Egypt. And that goes for Judaism as well. They are regurgitations of ancient Egypt. And you can take that to the bank. I stand in that. I stand in that statement. Theology, the main things of theology, are regurgitations of ancient Egypt. And ancient Egypt was big on sun worship. And the sun produces light, and without light, we have no reality. You must have light to produce a simulation, which is this reality called life. And you get the 88, which is tied to time travel and yttrium. And we're going to get into that just a little bit. If you haven't seen my Westworld, I showed radium and yttrium. They form the word ray. Radium comes from the Latin word radius, which means ray. And what does sunlight have? Rays. Tied to Ra. What is Ra all about? What is Ra all about? And then the average atomic mass, 226, 226, 26 being tied to the Yod-Heh Vah-Heh, 200 tied to the fallen angel story. In theology, in Christian theology, and Judaism, 200. Fallen angels, 200. It's going to be tied to Mercury, the sun's best friend. So it just continues on and on. You can really decode this till the cows come home. I mean, you can keep going on and on and on. But what about this 16 now, tied to light and the snake and the serpent? We bring it into the golden ratio. And here are the two digits that it occupies. Digit 219 and digit 220. And when you add these up, you get 439, and 439 sure as hell is a prime number. And these numbers, as I have been saying for a very long time now, these numbers encroach. 85 is going to pair with the 86, which is going to be Radon. Radon is the dawn, which is where Lucifer comes in, because Lucifer is known as the dawn, the son of the dawn. It's ray dawn, which is when light first appears on the horizon. The birth of light. Then you have the light bringer and the light of the world. But it's this 85. 85 is going to bleed into the 86. And then we just keep going. Like, what about the 85 in the golden ratio, in the string of the golden ratio? What digits does that occupy? 293, 294. And when you add that up, you're going to get 587. And sure as hell enough, it's another prime number. And it's not just any prime number, folks. It's the 107th prime number, which, if you go to numberempire.com, let's just do this on the fly. If you type in 107, there it is. There's the confirmation. 28. It's the 28th prime number, 107. And then we connect it right back to numerology using the same Chaldean numerology cipher. It's the architect. It's light. And it's the light bringer, which is where you're going to get the Christ from. Are they just one and the same? That's the question that only you can answer. I'm not here to answer it for you. I'm just going to pose that question. But I mean, this is pretty crystal clear here. Using mathematics and using numerology, the science of numbers. And we can just keep going and going, obviously. So, what about this number 20? Why I'm bringing the number 20 in is because, you see, we've already measured where the 85 occupies. The 85 occupies 293, 294, and then we know that 16 is occupying 219 and 220, which is 439, which is the 85. So we just keep going with this. This is how you decode using mathematics and the primes. And so where is the 85 located in the string of the golden ratio? What number is located at the 85th position now? What's the number 2? And what is 2? Duality. It's duality. That's what the number 2 is. It's the yin-yang. It's going to be tied to Taurus and the bullseye. Going to be found from across from Scorpio, which is the number 8, which is tied to the 19, which is tied to the sun. But there's the duality. And I told you these numbers are going to bleed, right? 85 is going to pair with the 86. 85 is Astinian, and then you have 86, which is Radon, or Astantine. Then, you have a birthday. You see, when you come down and play out this game called life, you now have an avatar. And you're playing out duality. You see? And this is what it means to be a spirit being slowed down into physical matter. And this was, this is solidification of that. Because 71 is the 20th prime number. 71 is lutetium. As I've been showing, lutetium is what an abbreviation for? Come on, ladies and gentlemen. It's a no-brainer. Lucifer. Lucy. Lutetium. Lutetium is 33 in numerology. Tied to the number 28 in the string of pi. Tied to Lucifer in the Chaldean. But it's light slowed down into calcium. 99% of our calcium is found in the bones and teeth. And there is what it means to be a human being. We have a birthday. Right there. So it's light slowed down into physical matter. And that's why I say you're the devil. Because you're the serpent. You're the snake. It's going to be tied to our Kundalini. Kundalini's 28. Lucifer's 28. 28 is the second perfect number. 85 occupies this digit right there. I mean, you could just go on and on and on and on when you have the memory to know these numbers. You just got to use this methodology. This is the source code playing out right here, ladies and gentlemen. And it really comes down to the sun. If you haven't seen my Superstar Part 1, Part 2, and Part 3 Decoded, please check it out. So, in the string of pi now, we're going to shake it up. We were showing the golden ratio. The golden ratio is tied to pi. Light slowed down into physical matter. Once you become physical matter, now you're playing out pi. Pi is tied to the sine and cosine wave, just like the golden ratio. And this is the pattern of the sun as it moves through the months on the calendar. And it's got to be 13 months. If you need more information on this, go check out my Superstar Part 1, Part 2, and Part 3, Decoded. You will have some things that will rack your brain. The patterns of the sun. And it really is a 171 pattern. And there's the 171 tied to the 85. So a lot of people, Lucifer's Venus. Well, it's tied to Venus, yeah. But the light bringer is tied to what brings the light every day? Well, you could say it's Venus, but to me it's the sun. And this is a dead giveaway when we use numbers. Right? Venus is going to fit in there because Venus is 25 in numerology and the word adversary is 25. So Venus is going to fit in there some way, some shape, some form. Maybe Venus was once a sun. Now it's not. But the sun above our heads is the light of the world right now, as far as I'm concerned. And so there's the connection. And the serpent, and there's the S wave. Like if you go watch my Superstar Decoded, this right here forms our DNA. It makes this boomerang shape right here, which makes our DNA. If you just connect them, it'll just make this boomerang shape. And there's the DNA, there's the serpent, the sine wave, the dragon wave, tied to Lucifer. And it's tied to the Christ. Has to be. So are they just one and the same? Well, again, you got to make that decision. And it really just comes down to the sun, folks. This is why in the tarot, the 19th card is the sun. And, this right here is a picture of the sun as it moves through the calendar, and it forms what's called an analemma. Makes this shape of an 8, as does the moon. And this is why the tarot is so special. 19 being the 8th prime number. Here's the 19th card. The 8th card is going to be the strength card, taming the lion. Right? But this is a no-brainer when we bring in esoteric layers and mathematics into nature, and we now decode it, and we could see that this reality that we're living out is completely scripted. There's no other explanation for it, because all of these layers were founded and discovered and created by not the same person, many, many different people. And they would all have to be in on the conspiracy to try to screw you over and mock you. Because they're trying to just pull the wool over your eyes so they can make fun of you. That's what some people believe. It's so absurd. It is so absurd to think that mankind ain't doing jack shit down here. They're just following a blueprint. You're following a script. And that includes you, ladies and gentlemen. That includes me. All right, let's get into the second topic now. It's called Eden. So now we're going to get into some theology. All right, and we're going to have to bring in some Christianity, of course, which is going to be Judaism. So if you're a Christian, rejoice, because you're Jewish. And don't tell me you're not, because if you have the Old Testament, that's the Torah, and that's Jewish. It's okay, folks. It's okay if you are. Just if it's a duck, call it a duck. Don't try to be, well, that's not it. And no, folks, if you use the Old Testament, you're Jewish. Okay? Let's just be realistic. Let's be authentic as we can, as inauthentic human beings. And this is just one script playing out, by the way. There are many playing out. But we're going to talk about this one right here, because this is the big one. Most popular spell book on the world stage, the Holy Bible, the Torah. And Genesis 3 verses 1. Now I want you to see how scripted this reality is, how ridiculously scripted this reality is right here. And we're going to take theology, and we're going to blend it with numerology, and we're going to blend it with alchemy. Now, these are 3 separate layers, all from different founders, because the gentleman who discovered sulfur didn't discover or create Chaldean numerology, and whoever created these 2 layers didn't create or come up with and write Genesis 3 verses 1, wherever that came from. But of course, as fate would have it, because we're living in a predestined, scripted reality, this is how we're able to link all this stuff up. So Genesis 3 verses 1, there it is. You see, the story of the serpent that made the serpent famous It's Christianity. I mean, you can't get any more blatant than this right here. And then alchemy is sulfur, as I've already shown. This is the most abundant weight of sulfur. This is going to be isotope 32. They're going to round it up. But this is the 31.972, the most abundant weight of sulfur. And just so we can be crystal clear, when you go to the Royal Society of Chemistry and you look at these elements, because here's sulfur right here, you're going to get the average right there, 32. But if you come down here to the oxidation states and isotopes, you're now going to have the most popular. Not all of them. Whoops. But you'll notice that 31.972 has the highest percentage. And we can read from that. Not the average now. The most abundant. And there's the 31. So it's 31, 32. These numbers are going to bleed. But how about that? There it is. Christianity and Judaism bringing the serpent onto the world stage, tying it to Chaldean numerology, tying it to the periodic table and alchemy, and the S wave and the serpent, and then tying it to our DNA. So is theology here to keep you a slave? A lot of people think so. Is theology designed to keep you in a headlock, to keep you stuck in the box? Or, as I kind of look at it, as it's like you ain't getting out till you die. And you may never get out. But, I have my Prison Planet series, check those out. But nonetheless, this is tied to our DNA. Here are the 4 base DNA molecules. The 4 base. Here they are right here. ACGT is the abbreviation. There's the 31. So is theology, through Christianity and Judaism and all the other ones in between, are they using the source code to keep you stuck in the reincarnation loop? Is that how the source code is working? I don't know. These are pure theoretical expressions I'm throwing at you right now. But obviously, the shape of the snake is exactly the shape of our DNA. Come on, folks. I mean, deoxyribonucleic acid in numerology is 69. I mean, you can't miss this now. The sine wave is 69. It's the yin-yang. It's tied to sulfur and Lucifer and light and the serpent. But you can't miss this with what's going on here. And then, we get into the word serpent. So we have snake. I mean, this decode is serpent decoded. Snake is 16. Serpent is 32. And there's how beautifully scripted alchemy is and how beautiful alchemy is, period. Because it's a bridge. Because there it is. Light is 16. Serpent is 32. And there it is right inside that box of sulfur. The snake. The serpent. All with the letter S. S being the 19th letter. The word apex as an apex predator is 19. 19 is tied to the word master. And it's light, ladies and gentlemen. Light is the master of this reality. Go stand inside of a pitch black box with 100 people. See how much stuff you get done. I'll tell you how much you will get done. You'll get nothing done. You need light to get things done. And with light comes sinning. It provides an opportunity to sin, which is where the snake and the serpent's going to come into play. And the devil and all that. You're the devil. Be the best little devil you could be. Just be a good person. Realize you're not an authentic human being. That's it. That's how it works down here. Just have fun with this reality, folks. And then, just to kind of summarize it here and just to the nail in the coffin, bam! The word serpent in Hebrew, where it originally came from. There it is, 16. Snake, 16. Serpent, 32. And there it is, right inside that box. It's sulfur. That's right. It's sulfur. And it's that S tied to the sun, otherwise known as soul. Anytime you add an S onto the end of a word, it makes it plural. This has so much meaning, this letter S. But I mean, this is kind of undeniable here, ladies and gentlemen, from the original story of where it came from. There it is. I mean, even the 583, if you know what you're looking for, just keeps going on and on and on. So it really comes down to this here. I mean, light is the serpent. It's the sine wave, the electromagnetic waves tied to the atom. Adam is the first man. It's going to be tied to Adam and Eve, Eve being the electrons surrounding the nucleus of an atom. So if you want to get into physics, you could start to really look at it for what it is. And it just keeps going on and on and on. The Mandelbrot set, ladies and gentlemen. It just keeps going on and on and on. This number 16 tied to light, tied to Lucifer, tied to the atom. The atom, the first man, and it's tied to Eden. This is the topic here, Eden. What is Eden? What does Eden mean? The Garden of Eden. They got kicked out of the Garden of Eden. They got kicked out of their spirit. They got kicked out of the sun. Sun is the 19th card of the tarot. There it is. So what is Eden? Well, this is saying that it's the sun. Eden is the sun. I mean, it starts with the letter E. The number 5 is man. You got 5 fingers, 5 toes. In astrology, the 5th zodiac sign is Leo. What is Leo ruled by? The frickin' sun. Okay? It's the sun. Eden is the sun. So now you know. The Garden of Eden is the sun, which is where your spirit comes from. The word soul is 19. And when you come down and become an avatar, you now move into duality. You come back here and you move into duality, which is, where's my duality? There it is, duality. You see? And you have a birthday. That's what happens. It's light slowed down into physical matter. Spirit slowed down into physical matter. 19 and 20. This is a big deal now. So we have spirit and matter staring you in the face. Spirit and matter. This is your spirit turning into an ego called matter. Carbon. 666. You are the devil, folks. Just be the best little devil you could be. Don't get offended by what I'm saying. Just be the best little devil you can be. Do the best you can. Be a good person. You don't need to put your faith in anything to be a good person. Just go do some good stuff for the world. All right? You're living in a predestined script. Spirit into matter. And the matter is duality. And the duality is when you get your birthday, all 20s, you can see that. All in the same cipher now. Not mixing and matching to make it easier. All in the same cipher. Spirit coming down to have a birthday. When you're birthed into this world, into duality. And then when you bridge the gap with alchemy once again, how beautiful this is. Telling you, you're a bag of bones. 99% of our calcium is found in the bones and teeth. You now have a skeleton. And, when you take spirit, 19, and you add matter, 20, 19 and 20 is 39. There's the weight of calcium, the most abundant. The average is 40, tied to Westworld, if you haven't seen my Westworld Decoded. But it's calcium. And you now have a birthday. And now you're a bag of bones. And then when you go even further, there's where you're going to get the snake. Because the weight of calcium, the most abundant is 39. And then the protons of yttrium is 39. Which again is spirit and matter added up, 19 and 20. And then, just to solidify it now, What do you think the shape is of that snake's tongue coming out of its mouth? Just take a wild guess. Yeah. It's the letter Y. It can be the letter V, but then, it would have to be cut off. It has that attachment. It's the letter Y. And there you're going to get, Lucifer, the original spelling of it, Hyll, Hyll, is 39. It's 39. So yes, the Lucifer is the serpent, which is going to be tied to the devil, which is going to be tied to the bag of bones that you have. And you're a sinner down here. You can't help it. And you're going to get time travel and the 88. And all you great decoders knowing, where that 88 goes in so many different layers. Skull and Bones is 39. There's just so many layers to this. So many layers to this. And then, 39 and 20 is 59. 59 is tied to the game of life. It just keeps going on and on and on and on. So again, to recap this, Eden is 19. To me, it means the sun. Okay? Eden means the sun. The Garden of Eden. Garden is 20. But Eden is the sun. And this is all light. It's all purity. The sun is purification. Right? But when you come down and become matter and you have a birthday, well, now you enter into sin and the sine and cosine wave and pi. And now you become an avatar. But this, the sun card keeps going. I mean, we bring alchemy into this, the spirit, and remember the word soul equals 19. I mean, here's the 19th element, potassium, and it's in Latin it's called kalium, which is why it's got that letter K. And what is the sun measured in temperature-wise? Kelvin. K is the 11th letter. 11's tied to sodium. Jesus says, ye are the salt of the earth. And then, obviously, these cards in the tarot now are derived from my understanding, Jewish mysticism, which is going to be tied to the Torah. That's why you're going to have the Yod He Vahe on the Wheel of Fortune. And so, this is the Rider-Waite deck. So what they're saying is that when you leave your spiritual self, when you leave the sun and you come down and you leave Eden and you become matter, you're now facing judgment. This is what the tarot's saying now. Do we get judged? Well, I don't know how we would get judged when you're living in a pre-scripted reality. I don't know how you would get judged. I don't know. I mean, if we have free will, maybe that's where you'd get judged from. That's what I'm saying. Be the best little devil you can be, folks. Check all the things off the box. Help people. Be of service to others. That's what you should be doing anyway. You don't need to have any belief in anything to be a good person. Only you is going to save you. And you're going to face death eventually. And we don't know what's going to happen beyond that. But, here is, that 20 again. So the judgment card in the tarot is tied to the calcium and the bag of bones that we have. We face death. And there's that 39. The 39 is going to be 40 as they bridge, as they encroach upon one another. So this is really important right here when we look at the tarot. And again, heavily laden from Jewish mysticism, which is tied to the Torah. Right? It's tied to the Torah. So kind of the recap on this, to finish up this part of the presentation of Eden. So Eden being 19, and I just feel like Eden being 19, 19 being tied to the sun card right here. Nature. Forget about anything I'm telling you. Look up in the sky. That's what runs this reality, not mankind. Mankind's just along for the ride. But I mean, I got this tattooed on my hand. I was born on a Sunday. How about you? What day were you born on? Has significance to your code. But, again, snake is 16, light is 16. And then even the word Eden, from the original story that it came from, is the number 16. So how about that? The original story is 16, which is tied to light. And in Chaldean, it's tied to 19. The word apex predator, 19. What is an apex predator? Damn Skippy. It's the sun. Go stand out in the sun when it's 105 degrees. Right now I'm in Las Vegas. It was just 110 last week. Go stand out there for a couple hours and come tell me how you feel. It will eat you alive if you're not careful. It's an apex predator. The word battery equals 19. Right? So these are all absolutes now in my book anyway. And really it comes down to, if you've been paying attention, the last slide, I think this is my last slide for this part of it, Eden, is the loop. 19, 37, 46. And in the middle of the recycle logo is the triangle and the all-seeing eye, the eye of providence. Providence equals 46, 19, 37, 46. And it's the master, the game master. It's the triangle, it's the tetrahedron tied to the octahedron. 19, 37, 46. And it's going to be tied to light in Lucifer because it's going to be tied to the number 75. If you've been paying attention, remember the words history repeats itself equals 75. That's right. Of course it does, because this reality is scripted. All right, let's get into the last topic now. Thanks for sticking with me. It's called light. Light is the snake, which is the serpent. So here it is, light. And I'm going to start off with this guy right here. Now, whether you have watched this show or not, this is the actor named Thomas John Ellis, who was casted to play Lucifer. Okay? And I did a decode on Lucifer many times. I have part 1, part 2. But if you're interested in seeing how ridiculously scripted our reality is, please go watch this one. I went through all the characters. I went through his mother. I mean, the real actors and actresses they cast to play this right here. I decoded it all to show you how ridiculously scripted this reality is. Right here, check it out. Part 2. Part 2. And, Thomas John Ellis being born on November 17th, that's going to give you the 1117, which is a permutation of the 171, and the 171 again is going to be tied to the sun, the patterns of the sun. It's in there, folks. It's in there. Okay? But here's his birth card, November 17th. Just so we can be crystal clear, here's the boilerplate chart for the cards of illumination. 12 months running horizontally, and then the 31 days running vertically. So Thomas John Ellis, born on November 17th. Here's his birthday, and it's the 3 of clubs. Okay, just so we can be really crystal clear. All right, and then the 3 of clubs is the 16th card in the deck. Tied to light, tied to snake, which is tied to the serpent and sulfur and everything that I've been talking about. But it's tied to light. You see? And that's why Lucifer is known as the light bringer. And then you're going to be tying it to Jesus, the light of the world. So, is Jesus and Lucifer one and the same? Many people think so. Well, again, I'm going to leave that up to you. I'm not going to pound that into your face. I don't really care. I'm just a tour guide here showing you the machinations of how this works. I have my own beliefs. But you got to make the decision on what you want to believe. Okay? To me, this whole reality is a distraction. It's just all a big simulation and illusion. All the stuff on the mainstream is all the dirty laundry. It's designed to keep you busy so you can't realize how this reality works. We're in a movie. That's the big secret. You're in a movie. And the movie needs light. Next time you go to the movies and you're sitting in the chair, turn around and look up behind you and you're going to see the projector way up in the top and it's throwing out the light. See, without the projector, you ain't got no movie. You ain't watching no movie. Okay? So, Thomas John Ellis, Three of clubs, 16th card in the deck, is tied to the word light. No, pretty much a no-brainer there. Okay? And even this show right here, even this show right here on Netflix, another one called Alice in Borderland, right off the trailer, here's the card that they highlighted in the trailer. It's the Three of Clubs, and they said this is the Game Master. Okay? Even the Beatles, if you look at the Beatles and their albums and their license plates on the Bugs and the Beatles, and it's the Game Master. 19 and 13. And it's tied to Lucifer, the light bringer. And it's tied to Jesus and the Christ. Right? I mean, you can't miss it, obviously. Thomas John Ellis and, Thomas, the brother of Jesus, the twin brother of Jesus, Doubting Thomas. I mean, another show. So they got to figure it out, obviously. And this is how important the playing cards are. And then, when you say Three of Clubs, it's the number 53, and the number 53 is, again, it's the 16th prime number. And then we bring in alchemy, and we've already showed this. It's iodine and sulfur. These two elements right here. So it's the one half of the I am that I am. 126. It's the 126. 26 being iron. Iron tied to the Yod-Heh Vah-Heh is 26. You see? So the I am that I am is the Yod-Heh Vah-Heh. Yod-Heh Vah-Heh is it Lucifer? Well, again, I'm going to leave that up to you. And then you have 16 tied to light. But I mean, look at this. Three of Clubs is 53. There it is. I mean, you can't miss this. This is how special Chaldean is. You ain't going to find this in any other cipher. Not like this, connect to mathematics and alchemy. And there's the connection right there. And then, bam! You want Jesus? You got him. The original spelling, one of them, this right here is Yeshua. Some people say, oh, it's not Jesus. Okay, great. Let's go as far back as we can go to the original spelling. Here it is. It's called Yeshua. And there's the 53. And just like that, we have a tie to the Yod-Heh Vah-Heh. We have a tie to Kronos. And we have a tie to the light bringer from the light of the world. All tied together, all part of the script. All playing their part of this reality called life. Okay? Of this reality called life. So really, here is the highlight of this. It's the is. This word right here. What is? That word is a very, very important word. It's iodine and sulfur. And it's tied to light. It's tied to light. So we also can go even deeper, obviously, and connect. Again, we've already connected this, so this is kind of a repetition. But, I mean, here's the average weight of sulfur. 32.06. And there's Serpent. The title of this Decode. So 31 is going to bleed into 32, which is going to bleed into 33. Sulfur does have an atomic mass of 33 as well. So you get it to Christ there as well. And the light bringer and the light of the world. All tied to this sine and cosine wave from the sun. And I mean, folks, what are you to make of this? None of them showing you. All keeping in the Chaldean family. Mathematics, alchemy, numerology. 3 layers. And then nature. Right there. 4 layers right there. All connected together. So when we add these up, so we get into some alchemy now. And we add these up now. Iodine and sulfur. And you can do this with, these, if you're into decoding and you want to start breaking down prime numbers and the numbers they're associated with and bring alchemy into this, I would highly suggest you start doing this. But it's iodine and sulfur, and when you add them up, it's 158. Watch how ridiculously scripted this is. 158.876. What is the 158 tied to? It's tied to this element right here called terbium. There's the weight of terbium. The average weight, 100% abundance, 158. And, this is the crazy scripted reality that we live in. Here's the picture the Royal Society of Chemistry used for terbium. It's a compact disc. Here's what it says. The abstracted compact disc symbol reflects the use of the element in the manufacture of the first rewritable compact discs. And folks, how do you write on a compact disc? What's needed to write on a compact disc? When you used to burn your CDs, I know all of you watching this, you've burnt your own CDs. What was used to burn onto the CD? Light. That's how ridiculously scripted this reality is. Now, you think the Royal Society of Chemistry is out to get you? Trying to pork you and mock you? Do they even know this? Doesn't matter, folks. You're seeing it. You're seeing it. That it's Yeshua and Lucifer, and it's light, and light is used to write compact discs, and it's terbium, and even 65 is the weight of zinc, the 30th element, which is tied to the words role play. Santa Claus coming down the chimney, coming down from spirit into physical matter. It's all just a big cosmic joke, ladies and gentlemen. That's all this reality is based upon. And whatever created this reality, to me, is a stand-up comedian. And I just laugh and have fun with it, because what else are you going to do? It's ridiculously scripted, this reality, right here. So we just keep going, and, if we add them up, I like to do this. You get your outcome here when you do the alchemy. Well, if you add them up, 158 plus 876, you know what you're going to get? 1,034. It's either 1,034 or 1,043. But there's pi. It's pi. And now you're going to get into the sine and cosine wave and the perfect circle and Earth and the planet that we live on. It's just ridiculously scripted. And now another circle, and compact discs are round. Earth is seemingly round. It's just funny, if you ask me. What about saying 53 and 16 from light? Well, right back to Lucifer again. 53, 16, 71. 71 is lutetium. Lutetium starts with the letters L and U. So does Lucifer. So does Lucy. And there's the numbers for Lucifer, according to Manly P. Hall, Secret Teachings of All Ages. Lucifer's numbers are 7, 4, and 1. I mean, there it is, and it's tied to light, the light bringer, the light of the world, the Christ, Yeshua. I mean, it's all just tied together, and it's tied to the atom. I mean, look at the numbers of Adam. There's the numbers of Lucifer again. It's got the 7, 4, and 1 in there, folks. Now, I'm not saying Manly P. Hall is the absolute answer to this whole reality that we play out, but he was a pretty respected guy, and he said Lucifer's numbers are 7, 4, 1. Well, it's right there in the element lutetium, and Lucifer starts with Lucy, and the atom has the 7, 4, 1 in there, and Adam was the first man. Atom's tied to light because light has atoms in it. The makeup of light is tied to the atom and nucleus, and I mean, folks, what is it you see here? To me, it's undeniable, all this information right here. And so, just again, it goes back to the atom and light being tied to the 16 and being tied to this guy. So we're getting to the tail end of this presentation. Thanks for sticking with me, a really kind of long one here, but I want to bring in the other card tied to Thomas John Ellis. Now, for those of you that have been following the cards of illumination, here's the boilerplate chart for the cards of illumination. These cards will change every single year you have a birthday. But what we have here to the right is called the Master. This is your ego card right here, Master Life. And then over here, ruling over your Master Life, is your Spirit card, otherwise known as your Handler card. So what we're going to do is we're just going to locate the card for light, which is tied to Lucifer, and the actor they casted to play Thomas John Ellis. So this is the 16th card in the deck, right here. And, it's kind of interesting because it sits in the Saturn-Mars row. Now, light is yang energy, right? Which is masculine, Mars. So this card is a masculine yang energy that is owned and operated by Kronos and Mars. How about that? Masculine energy times 2. And then what we want to do is we want to locate this card in the same position over here in the Master Spirit / Handler section. And here it is. It's the 5 of diamonds. So now we have the 5 of diamonds and the 3 of clubs. Okay? And it's tied to Thomas John Ellis, the guy they casted to play Lucifer. It's tied to the word light. And we now have these 2 cards. And this is the 31st card in the deck. So we go here, the 5 of diamonds, here it is, card 31. Now, if you want these graphics, by the way, just send me an email and I'll send them to you. My email is decodeyourreality@gmail.com. Okay? But there it is, the card 31. And then card 16. Okay? So that's how we read those. And what do you see here? 35. Now, what is 35? Well, it's tied to the word simulation. What is needed to create the simulation? Well, if you said light, you guess right. Light is needed for the simulation. It can be tied to bromine, bromine 79. That's going to be gold. Gold is the sun. But what if I flip them? Because this is the spirit card. This is the handler card running the ego card of Thomas John Ellis. And the atom, this is tied to the atom and light and the snake. It's going to be, once again, the iodine. Because it's the 5 and the 3. You see? So it's just going to go right back to that again. The iodine, the I am that I am. The 5 and the 3. So no matter which way. And 53 is an 8 if you reduce it down. 35 is an 8 when you reduce it down. And what is 8 and 8 together? 88. And what is 88? Radium. Ra. The sun god Ra. The light bringer. You see? Tied to the Christ. Are they just one and the same? Starting to look that way. And then, in a deck of cards, you have the Joker cards. Now, the Joker card is known as the Alpha and Omega card. If you watch my Westworld Decoded, I showed that Anthony Hopkins, who they casted to play the guy who created Westworld, he was born on December 31st. It is the only birthday that actually has the Joker card. So Anthony Hopkins, creating of Westworld, he's the Alpha and Omega. But it's the 0 and 53 card because in a deck of cards, you're going to have 2 Jokers. So I feel like it's the Fool card in the tarot. It's the 0, of course, but it's the 53rd card in the deck. Tied to the I am, the Joker, the Alpha and Omega, which is light, slowed down and becoming physical matter. And it becomes an actor or actress, get into the Manchurian Candidate, etc., etc. So when we add these up, 31 and 16, simple math, you get, once again, ancient Israelite God of the Bible, the Tetragrammaton. The Tetragrammaton, and then we go to alchemy once again to bridge the gap, and we now have the most electric element on the periodic table. I'll say that again. This is the most electric element on the entire periodic table. This is why the Vatican has the gold and silver key on it. There it is, 47. It's also tied to titanium and Kronos and Saturn's moon Titan. The Titans. This is what we all are, the fallen angel story. And then silver being 107, 107 being the 28th prime number. And what is Lucifer in numerology? 28. You see, folks? Let's just, on the fly, I'm just going to go to that. You go here and Lucifer. 28. You see? And then 107 is the 28th prime number. Come on, ladies and gentlemen. Are you seeing the script play out here? Silver being the most electric, the Elohim. The Elohim are supposed to be the gods who created mankind. See, Lucifer is Prometheus. Prometheus in Greek mythology is said to have created man out of clay. It's Prometheus is said to have given mankind the fire, which is knowledge and wisdom, tied to Lucifer. The Garden of Eden, you shall not die. All this stuff, it's all synced together. And it's the most electric element on the periodic table. Silver. And then, what is silver? Well, it's tied to duality. See, it's light slowed down into duality, folks. We become electric. We have an electrical system. It's called the circulatory system. It's called the prana, the chi, the kundalini rising up your spinal cord. All tied to you being a devil. All you tied to being light slowed down into physical matter. And now playing out duality. That's it. It's pretty much that simple. Really, really. Really, really is that simple. And, when we take numerology again to really kind of nail this all down here, you see, these two cards, 31 and 16, an atom has a nucleus. You see that, folks? Just using Chaldean. That's why Chaldean's so special. Right there. 47. 31 and 16. The nucleus of an atom. Right there. And it's light. Slowed down. That's what it is. That's what it means. When you bring the tarot into this, because, the cards of illumination, they now have the tarot to tell the picture. So the 5 of diamonds became the 5 of pentacles. The 3 of clubs is the 3 of wands. And this is light slowed down into physical matter. This is launching long-term plans. When you come down here and become an avatar, you need to that's what this card means. Go study the 3 of wands. It means launching your long-term plans, because when you come down here and become an avatar, you now have to create your reality. And the card that precedes that, the 5 of pentacles, this is hard times. When you come down here and become an avatar, well, now you're not spirit anymore. Now you're matter. And you're going to face hard times. All of us do. It's not just all, a bed of roses. This is card 69. And I just wanted to bring this in. This is season 4, episode 4, when Thomas John Ellis was at an auction. And look at what number he held up. See, they know this. This is not trying to screw you over or mock you. This is correctly putting the numbers there because that's what it means. Okay? That's what it means, ladies and gentlemen. And light is the yin-yang. It is duality. This is card 69. Found from card 31. Found from remember, Christianity equals 31. You see, folks? And this is the church. This is outside of a church, this card. Found from this. Christianity's 31. I think we're going to go all the way back. And do I even have it handy here? Forgot if I even have it handy. Probably don't. No. But anyway, Christianity's 31. This is 69. Here's Lucifer at the auction. It doesn't get any more blatant than this. This is the scripted reality that we live in. You can become conscious of it. People do. Obviously, the producer of the show, Jerry Bruckheimer, he's got the 3 of clubs as well. The producer of the show's got the same card as Thomas John Ellis. Right? You can become conscious of it. I become conscious of this stuff, but I can still decode myself, and I can show you that my life is completely scripted, and it continues to be scripted, and continues to be scripted, and continues to be scripted. I don't even know how to say anything more than that. So to finalize this decode, thanks for sticking with me, ladies and gentlemen. When we say, through numerology, the 2 tarot cards found from the 2 cards of illumination, of light, 5 of pentacles, 3 of wands, it's 127. And 127 is tied to the 52nd element, called tellurium. And the icon the Royal Society of Chemistry uses is the earth, because tellurium comes from the Latin word tellus, which means earth. You see? So this is telling us loud and clear that this is light slowed down into physical matter, and now in prison planet is 52. Now you're stuck in the prison planet. And what is the prison planet? We go all the way back here, and it's this. That's it. It's the sine and cosine wave. And it's our DNA is here, the serpent is here, the wave's here, its electromagnetism is here, the butterfly is here, our DNA is here, the torus field is here, the hourglass is here. It's all here in this shape. All of it. And more. Just keep going on and on and on and on. And let's not forget the last slide here, because you see, these elements I said, they encroach. So 52 becomes the 53 and becomes the 54. And see, iodine, the weight is 126.904, but this is going to be called isotope 127. So you see, it's the I am coming down into Earth and playing the game called life. That's what this means. It's light coming down to play the game called life. That's it. That's the big secret. No more secrets. So just know your code. Decode yourself. And you will have the best experience you'll ever have. Knowing what your job, your responsibilities are, etc., etc. So ladies and gentlemen, I hope you had a fun time with me on this one. I would love to hear what you saw, so keep your comments coming. Just keep them cordial. Don't be a jackass. If you don't agree with what I say, that's totally cool. But if you're going to put an opinion down, support it. Don't just say, oh, you're wrong, or this or that. Support your opinion. Just like I have. Go make a video if you don't agree with what I'm saying. Show your support. Right? Anybody can say, well, it's this, it's that. But support what you're saying. But I would love to hear what you could add on. There's so many more things I could have added on to this decode. Ladies and gentlemen, I would love to hear what you saw, so keep your comments coming. And that's all I got for today, ladies and gentlemen. Until next time, my name is Logan, Decode Your Reality. We will see you later.